HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
Broadband innovation, the big topic at the 31st Caribbean Association of Telecommunications Organizations underway in Miami, Florida. Good evening, everyone. I'm Charisma Robinson.
And I'm Chris Saunders. Thank you so much for joining us. Hundreds are attending the premier event on the telecommunication calendar to discuss issues facing the region, showcasing cutting-edge technology while offering dynamic networking services. Opal Roach attended the opening ceremonies last night and tells us that the Prime Minister delivered the keynote address focusing on the connection between broadband and economic development.
Broadband is the crude oil of the 21st century.
It's a technology that enables a high-speed transfer of data, connecting businesses and individuals to a global marketplace, improving public service, and opening new doors of opportunity. And in stressing the importance of such, Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie told Canto delegates that it's time to close the digital divide and move forward with broadband.
I accept, I've heard it here tonight, broadband provides an equalizer to the economic playing field. I accept that it results in the democratization of invention. And so, for me, I have to challenge our ministers of ICTs and our regulators, just as I did the last time I was here, to proactively pursue policies and legislation that will support the initiatives of organizations like Canto and improve the lives of our citizens through the innovation of broadband. Let's just do it. And let's just put behind us the talking and recognize that the talking is over.
And while broadband has become a necessity and considered the currency of the 21st century, the nation's leader reminded the Caribbean telecommunications service providers that quality service is a priority.
No one should expect governments of the region to sit at ease as their citizens continue to pay more for less. You cannot expect governments whose economic condition is anemic to settle for 41.1% broadband penetration when we are told by the ITU that increasing broadband can account for 3.6 to 4% growth in GDP.
Now, over the next several days, delegates will take a closer look at communication technology as they strive to improve lives through broadband innovation. At the Hyatt Regency covering the Canto Conference, I'm Opal Roach, ZNS Network News.
Thanks so much, Opal. While addressing delegates attending that conference and exhibition in Miami, Florida, the Prime Minister gave this update on the liberalization process.
As you know, the government of the Bahamas in 2011 committed to have a period of exclusivity after the privatization of BTC. To this end, my government announced the formation of a liberalization task force to secure bidders for a second license. My government will soon make an announcement as to which of the bidders will be selected and pass on to the next round.
As negotiations continued over the weekend in the Bahamas saga, ZNS News gained access to a letter written by the developer, Sarkis Ismerlian, to the president of China Export-Import Bank, who's one of the project's investors. He expressed that despite their efforts, there are still no closer to a resolution with China Construction America. The developer claimed that the contractor now wants their retainage funds released early and concluded that continuing discussions along that path is not prudent at all. Bahamar proposed to allowing Bahamian contractors complete the project, but asked the bank not to take any sides and only allow the developers to enforce their contractual rights and for the construction company to assert theirs. Mr. Esmerlian said that they will lend $200 million, along with the bank on a 50-50 basis, into a new senior facility totaling $400 million that will complete the project. He concluded that this is the only way to complete the project and find a compromise with the bank. If an agreement is not met, proceeding down the legal path, he said, will create terrible uncertainty, delay the project even further, and put further damage on the Bahamian economy. That letter, by the way, was also copied to the Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Perry Christie. Talks in the People's Republic of China continued over the weekend with hopes by stakeholders to find a quick resolution to the ongoing bankruptcy dispute that has stalled the multi-billion-dollar project on Cable Beach and has thrown thousands of jobs into limbo.
But in the middle of the talks, Bahamar and China Construction America released statements blaming each other for the project's delay. Here's Janae Noel Ferguson.
A war of words has once again erupted between stakeholders of Bahamar Resort, this time between the China Construction America Company and officials of Bahamar Limited. Now, the construction company contends that Bahamar is bankrupt because the company repeatedly made mistakes, and their attempts to place blame on CCA Bahamas are self-serving explanations to deflect attention from their own negligence and mismanagement of the resort's development. But Bahamar officials reason that they filed for bankruptcy because CCA failed to complete the project on schedule, had questionable workmanship, walked off the job, and they also claimed that China Construction failed to perform and was uncooperative towards a resolution. Now, Bahamar presented a proposal for Bahamian workforce to be allowed to complete the project, but CCA says there is a firm and binding contract in place for them to continue as the general contractor, adding that Bahamar has failed to make payment for $72 million for the first 5 months of 2015 and has not honored their request for additional payments of $70 million. CCA says the construction company is once again offering to provide financial assistance to help save the project and thousands of jobs, but Bahamar stated that the construction company is apparently panicky and defensive about the issue, and no matter how they try to spin or deflect from its lack of responsibility, they cannot cover up the sad pattern of its failure to perform. Despite all of this, in its release, CCA says completing Bahamar is priority, and they've now offered to invest an additional $100 million in Bahamar and provide a guarantee of $175 million to China Exim Bank. It also claims that Bahamar was asked to provide a similar guarantee, but they rejected that counter-proposal. Instead, CCA says Bahamar has demanded that they reduce the value of its existing equity investment of $150 million to just $75. Bahamar has also requested that the interest rate of their investment be reduced to 0. Meanwhile, Justice Ian Winder is expected to address the winding up of Bahamar filed by the government on July 31st. Janae Noel Ferguson, ZNS Network News.
Well, this Friday, July 31st, is when the Supreme Court will hold a hearing to appoint a provisional liquidator in the Bahamar bankruptcy case. The provisional liquidator will oversee the restructuring and opening of Bahamar under the supervision of the court should the parties be unable to negotiate an agreement to complete and open Bahamar. ZNS News has learned from Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employees Confederation CEO Addison Sumner that PricewaterhouseCoopers is on the short list to become the provisional liquidator. It's the organization that employs the Chamber's chairman, Gowan Bowe. Sumner explained to ZNS News the Chamber's position in the event PricewaterhouseCoopers is selected.
We understand that Mr. Bowe has an obligation to his firm and a commitment to his firm, and he has demonstrated that he has been a very active and a very tremendous chairman to the Chamber. He's made some significant contributions to date, and he will continue doing so. So in this particular instance, we do understand that there is a separation now between his role as a chairman of the Chamber and his role as a partner in PwC, and we understand his obligations to his partners at that firm.
This segment of the news is brought to you by Platinum Bride Couture, downtown Nassau on Parliament Street. Begin your happily ever after at Platinum Bride Couture.